Hi guys and welcome to a new chess video of chess A-aron. Today we are going to have a new chess lesson. What do I have planned for you guys today? Today I'm going to give you guys some 4 of the most used defenses. So previously we did attacks, now we are going to do defense. So let's go into it already. So I have 4 different defenses for you guys with a little bit of the variations. Like I said in a previous video, you can always check some chess databases to know more of the lines than I'm going to discuss, because I'm not going to discuss like almost full games or half games. I'm just going to do the first 3-4 moves, and then most of the time you will be fine with that. So let's start with the first one. Here I have the Caro-Kann. That's one of the main used defenses, and I play also a lot with them. So how is this going to start? So they will start with the king spawn to e4. Then we are going to react with c6. They are going to bring d4, and then you are going to bring d5. So this is the main line, the first 2 moves of the Caro-Kann. When you have this is the Caro-Kann. If you have like first with the queen and you do then the same steps, it's not the Caro-Kann. So the Caro-Kann only works when you start with the king spawn to e4, then you go c6, then we have d4, and then we have d5. This is the Caro-Kann. So it's very easy. It's giving you a lot of open space, and then you have some variations that will follow on these moves. So the first variation that you will see quite a lot, also out of experience that I have played this defense a lot, they will go and move to e5. So this is the advanced variation. It's a little bit one of the harder ones, but it's still quite an open place. You can do a lot in it. So things you can do here is push your e6 pawn, then they will probably develop their knight to defend the e5 pawn. Then you can push your c5 pawn. If they take, you have the defense of the black bishop. You can bring out your knight. They can bring a lot out here. So you can push like very different angles on this variation. When we go a little bit back, the second variation that I have here is the fantasy variation, and then they will push their f2 pawn to f3 to defend their e4 pawn. That's also a variation that's quite common. Personally, I didn't manage to have a lot of games that use the fantasy variation, but it's an existing thing, and it's also, when you see the databases, used quite sometimes. And then the third and last variation I have is the 2 knights variation. So what's different here is that they don't develop their queen pawn, but they develop their knight first. Then you're still going to use d5, and then they are going to use their second knight, and they bring that out to f3, and then you can do just the same. So you can bring first this, then push here, or you can bring, like, when you push this you can bring your knight. If you don't push this, so if you have this, you can also just push your bishop to here, or you can develop your knight. So there are also a lot of different positions you can create here. This is a defense that is quite easy to study, quite easy to learn, and for me it's really good to know for a beginner, because they are just easy lines, not too hard to remember, nothing special. So yeah, this is the Caro-Kann defense. use it, try it, and you will find out it's something for you. Then the second variation I have for you guys is the Sicilian defense. So let's start with the beginning. So the Sicilian defense is like a sort of a gambit, but not really. So they start with e4, and you will use the queen's pawn in this and use d5. They will attack, they will take you, and you will just take the pawn back. So this is the Sicilian defense. Next, what they are most of the time are going to do is attacking your queen, and then you have two variations. So the first variation you have is the old variation, and that's just going back here. But now the more modern variation is bringing your queen to a5. And then you're just pushing your c pawn to c6, and then you can retrieve your queen later on. What you also have as a variation, if they don't bring their b1 knight, they're just going to move their other knight to f3. Then you can just develop your bishop to attack this knight, and has another kind of game and does not need to retrieve your queen immediately. What do you have? The other variation is the d4 variation. That's very uncommon, but it happens. If you see the databases, you will see. Then they bring their d4 pawn. The d4 pawn is protected by the queen, so you cannot just take it. Most of the time here you're just going to develop one of the knights here or here. You can bring out the other pawn, and you can start up developing your bishops. So like you see, this is a defense with a little bit more spice, I would say, with a little bit more aggressiveness in it, but you need to be careful because your queen is very early out, and if you don't know the lines very well, there is a possibility you will lose your queen. So be precautious, be prepared for this, because this can be dangerous. Okay, we will go to the next one that we have, and that's the King's Indian defense. So what's the King Indian defense? The King's Indian defense starts with the king's pawn to e4. Then you will go with d6. I'll go back. Now you go e4, and the knight to f6. Then they will bring their queen's pawn to d4. Then you will move your pawn to g6. Here they, most of the time, if they see this and they know their lines, they are going to go c4 to really push and open the middle. Then we are going to develop our bishop to g7. Then they are going to develop their knight to c3. Then we are going to bring our d6 pawn. So this is the King's Indian defense. It's a weird defense, but you has here the possibility to castle quite quickly. Just difficult here is you don't have really the center open. You have developed already a couple of pieces. You can develop here your knight, you can develop your bishop, but it's a quite closed game. So if you are using the King's Indian, you have a closed game or a closed defense. Like the other two we saw are more an open defense. Okay. You have a couple of different options in here also. If white can react then with the pawn to f3, that's a possibility. It's just creating a very strong pawn structure here. They can still develop everything, just the knight is a little bit trapped, but that can be worked out. The second variation we have here is the fourth pawn variation. That's putting their f pawn to f4. So they have really closed up everything that you see here. So that's crazy. And the third variation I have is the Averbach variation, and that's creating, they're pushing first their black bishop to attack the knight here. Then we are going to castle, and then they are going to develop their white bishop to e2. So that's the Averbach variation, and yeah, you need to quite know what you're doing here because it's in closed defense. Closed defense are more difficult to develop than open defenses and are a little bit harder to study and a little bit more difficult lines. So would I recommend this for beginners? If you feel comfortable with it, I would say do it. Try it, do it, learn from it, play it against bots, look into the databases, just do it. You can, I'm sure you can do it, you can manage it, but it's a difficult one. And the final is a very simple one, and let's go to the beginning. So they will start with the d pawn to d4. We will go with e6. They will develop the middle with e4, and then we will come to d5. Then they will probably bring their knight up to c3, and then we will bring our knights out to f6. So we are just keeping up the defense here. They are keeping up the attack, so that's totally normal. And yeah, they can develop other pieces, like they can do this to defend this more. Probably you will take, they will take back, and then you can just go here and attack this knight. For the French defense, it's also a quite open defense. You can castle quite quickly. You just need to make sure to not let any attackers to go, because the middle is quite open for them here. You can still make great plays here. If they not take, you can still first develop the bishop here and then go castling. If they take, you can take back. So it's also quite an open defense. Here you don't have a lot of difficult lines. This is like the beginning, a more open play you can do. But there are some lines like in every defense, but this is also one of the main beginner defenses that I would recommend, and you will definitely learn a lot in this. So this is a quick video about some 4 beginner defenses, like 3 easy ones and 1 a little bit more difficult if you want to. Learn them, search them, and see the databases for the main lines. I already told you in the previous video that you can search on chess.com the database, or you have some more online that you can find. Use it to study. You will need to study if you want to get really high. I also need to do more of this. I'm not that very high, that's why I also take you guys with me to learn this. Maybe there are also mistakes in this video, but I'm also learning. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give a like if you did, subscribe if you aren't, and I hope I see you guys in the next video here, and I will say bye bye.